Hey guys, what is happening? And welcome back to the AnimetalKast podcast. It's been a while since we last did one of these, but we are back, and today's episode is a very special episode because today we are joined by the one and the only Lindsay Schoolcraft from the symphonic black metal band Cradle of Filth. So, Lindsay, how are you doing on this fine day?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm back in Oshawa right now. I'm working on some stuff for the harp and some collaborations with some other metal bands. I'm just hanging out with my cat and just got back from Germany this weekend, so I am a little bit jet lagged, but that's to be expected. So, yeah, everything's going really well on my end. How about you?
Everything's doing great, just a heat wave
Oof.
and all that typical South African weather. But it's all good, it's all good. I'm already looking forward to winter. It must be the European blood in me.
No doubt.
so, so yeah. But yeah, no, I'm glad to hear, that you're getting up to some awesome and fun stuff. So yeah, that's great. Now, before we begin, guys, I'd just like to remind you all that the links to Lindsay's music and social media pages can be found down in the description box, so make sure you go and check that out and show her some love and support. With all
Thank
that out of the way,
you.
let us get on with the show. Okay, so I guess my first question to you, Lindsay, is firstly, can you tell us where you are from, what exactly it is that you do, and how you got interested in music and decided to pursue a career in it?
Absolutely. I'm from Oshawa, Canada. Music's always been a massive part of my life. Since school. And I was saying, I found recently when I cleaned out my childhood home, I found sheet music for the awful instrument known as the recorder, and I was like transcribing and composing uh, for that in grade 4. It's just always been a part of my life. Disney's been a huge influence, and yeah, once I got to high school, I formed my first all girl riot punk band, and we weren't that good, but again, when you're young, you got to start somewhere, and we did work really hard and got all the way to Warp Tour, and that was a huge accomplishment for someone from where we're from. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, music's just it's always been there. I have many, many stories about my leading up to becoming a full time musician. I've had many careers. But yeah, other than that, me these days, I hang out, I play the harp, I watch a lot of anime, I hang out with my cat, Bruce Wayne. I'm a pretty simple creature. I mean, it's cool to say that I can do music full time. It's not always easy, and it's a lot of hard work and lack of sleep, but um, I love it. I'm happy, and thank you again for having me on the show. This is really cool.
No, thank you. It's a great honor to have you here. So, yeah, that sounds really awesome and like a lot of hard work, but as long as you're happy doing what you're doing, that is the most important thing.
Agreed.
So, yeah, so yeah, um, as I was saying before the recording went to hell the first time, um, what are some bands, artists, or albums or genres in particular that really inspire you into writing music? Anyone in particular, or is it just in general?
Yeah, I do have a few bands that have been massive influences on me. Everyone knows about Evanescence. They, for me, were
Nice.
a very important band for me in high school, along with Kitty, Chevelle, Korn, um, acts like that. I am very much an early 2000s teen, and that's where a lot
I
of
can
my,
relate.
yeah, like in a perfect circle, and like just
Mm,
anything from that era was very influential. But I mean, I'm also a huge fan of the Birthday Massacre. I love Vast, which is by John Crosby. It's a very interesting worldly rock band.
mm.
And once I got into heavy metal, I did take influences from Demon Borgir and Nightwish.
Hell yeah.
So there's a lot of incredibly talented and influential bands in my life. Definitely. I mean, I'm moving more in different directions these days. I listen to a lot of trip hop and electronic music these days, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And
No, it never is. Yeah.
no, and I've been there's always bands and artists influencing me and inspiring me, and there's always so much new music to listen to, so that never ends.
Yes, especially nowadays when it's like there's a new band or new artist just popping up every single day. But yeah, no, it's great to know that you listen to a variety of artists and genres to give you inspiration, because it can get rather tedious listening to the same one all the time, every single day.
Oh,
And I
totally.
mean, I've got friends who are the huge metalheads, but their musical projects have gone in completely opposite directions. Like
Right.
I have a friend who lives in the UK. He does a lot of trancecore music, and he bases it on a lot. He bases it on a lot of anime,
Wow.
especially 90s stuff. So every time he puts out something, it's probably themed around Ghost in the Shell or Outlaw Star or something to
That's
that degree.
fantastic.
And he also loves Ergo Proxy, so yeah, that's also
Yay!
great. So yeah, yeah, no, it's you can still tell when listening to his music, the metal influences are definitely there, even if he doesn't use the instruments in question.
Yeah,
But
we're
yeah, no,
never
but
afraid to go heavy.
never. But yeah, no, that's fantastic to hear that you draw inspiration from so many places. I like it when musicians do that. It really gives a new and fresh take and more interesting dynamics to their music. It's absolutely incredible. So yeah, I guess I also have to ask. So now you've been in bands before, stranger to doing music and stuff. So I guess how would those experiences compare to what it's like now in Cradle of Filth? Because considering they're such a huge band.
It's weird when you join a band that is been established for 25 years and has been nominated for a Grammy and signed to Sony, and things change. And I was in local bands before I joined Cradle of Filth, and the common problem with being in a small band that's trying to become established is like, oh, he got too drunk, or oh, she never showed up, or just like typical
Yeah,
things that people would deal with trying to juggle a 40-hour a week work schedule on top of trying to be a musician. And then when it comes to being in a bigger band, it's like a whole new set of problems. Not necessarily for the band, but when you're a small band, a local band, and then it's just the 4 or 5 or 6 of you. When you get to a band on Cradle's level, there's like label people, there's management, there's booking agents, there's it's just there's so many new people that you have to deal with and consider. And it's a whole new, like, like a whole new world, you know what I mean? Like, it is. I always sing that because
yeah,
it's true. And it's also an opportunity to grow, because within Cradle of Filth, I'm not the person who runs the social media, but I do sometimes help. That's a part of my job. I'm the makeup artist. I help sometimes with wardrobe design, stage production when I can, if possible, mainly to like cue lights and smoke. But it gives you an opportunity to expand and become just more than a contributing band member on a musical and live level. So it's different. It's very different, and it's a lot. And I can see why some people can't handle it and leave, or some people crash and burn, or it's different. You definitely have to be open to criticism and willing to put in the time, but also be willing to ask for help, because you can't do it all yourself.
Oh yeah, no, of course not. I mean, it takes a lot of teamwork, and yeah, and I mean, criticism comes your way a lot more often in a bigger band, because like even people who haven't necessarily heard your stuff, they know about you, and they probably heard about you in like a lot of times the most ridiculous of ways. Like I don't know, maybe there was a silly ill-informed piece in a newspaper, and then next thing you
Exactly.
know, you got weird groups that you don't know even existed coming out and saying like, "Oh, don't listen to that music," and
Oh, totally.
all this
We're in a
kind
day
of
of
stuff.
like
So
such social justice warriors and over opinionated Christians who can't stand us, and yeah, there's a lot, you know, and I've been definitely ridiculed. We all have at one point or another for one thing, and I am a very opinionated woman, and that bothers a lot of people. But that's their problem, not mine. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can unfollow me on my social media. It's fine. You know, I'm just here trying to live my best life and inspire others and give good advice, even when sometimes it's not asked for. But that's another thing. Anyways.
no, that's good. That's good. That's good that you're focusing more on your craft than worrying about what some other people have to say about it and whatnot. So yeah, no, that's good. Um, now I want to make a reference to your interview that you did with Vin and Sori.
Yes.
Apparently, you I want to say you either weren't or aren't particularly fond of Danny's vocals. Is he aware of this? And,
Oh, he's known this since forever. I honestly, when I first heard about Cradle of Filth, I was in high school, and I was
yeah.
like, I love the music, but I can't get past that guy's voice. Funny enough, here we are. Fast forward, he's my boss, and one of my closest friends. You know, so
Nice.
he's definitely a required taste. He's not everybody's cup of tea, and you know what? He is the only person in the world who does that, honestly, on the level that he does, and I have a lot of respect for that. I've studied his voice.
Yes.
I've done as a vocal teacher myself, or trying to become an established one on the side. You know, I've studied his voice and tried my best to understand it. Yeah, and I mean, I have him turned all the way down in my in-ear monitor, because I can't do it anymore, you know, but that's the thing. It's not like one of those like sexy crooning voices at all, you know. Yeah, I do enjoy like male vocals, clean male vocals. But when I have to listen to Danny 4 months straight squawking in my ear, it's just too much, you know. But that's the thing. It's as a person, like we're close and we're really good friends, so it's not like it's ever tarnished our friendship. And I know when I go up and hit those really high coloratura classical notes, he has to turn me down, because he just says, you know, it's like Disney on speed. He just says it's too much, you know. And I think that comes from being around each other for so long, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Again, not everybody wants to hear like really high, crisp, like operatic vocals that are like really just, I don't know, you know, I can do them, sure. Do I enjoy doing them? Not all the time, but that's just Cradle of Filth. You know, I have 25, yes. We have 25 years of a catalog that we have to address and do our best to recreate. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, Danny's voice it's unique, and I feel honored that I get to work with one of the most unique voices in the world, honestly.
Yes. Yeah, no, I just found it funny because no, but it's good to know that it doesn't affect your relationship with him, because like he has got so many other awesome creative outlets. Like a lot of people praise him for his lyricism. He's definitely got a vision for, you know, the whole band's aesthetics and whatnot. So he's a very talented dude from what I can see and what I've witnessed in, you know, all the other metal media outlets and whatnot. And I mean, you can hear it in the music. He's really passionate about what he does, and I do agree with you. He's got a very unique voice. Like, I don't know how he's able to do those like ghost wails that he does or whatnot.
Oh, they're called false chords and whistle tones.
False chords, yes. But they do sound like ghost howls. Like, I guess it's perfect for, you know, like the whole spooky vibe of the music. So he's got
inspiring.
That nailed down.
And, you know, because of his voice type, I've actually kind of ditched a little bit of my classical technique, because I feel like women's classical vocals in metal has just been so overdone. So the direction I'm trying to go in is more of like a very beautiful but chilling howl when it comes to some of my higher notes now, because in the beginning I was trained classically and I just did what I thought to be right, but now there's really no rules, and I think it makes things a little more different trying to change it, and he's kind of pushed me in that direction as a singer. So yeah, he's very inspiring to be around, definitely, and what he does is really cool.
That's fantastic, and yeah, I know what you mean about the classical female vocals, like kind of only going one direction. I mean, like, you know, you have all the, like, I mean, I enjoy them, you know, bands Nightwish, Delane, Within Temptation, but at the end of the day, they do all kind of follow a similar pattern, and there are very few other bands where they are willing to do something a little different outside the comfort zone, or really, really push the boundaries and whatnot. So, but it's good to know that you are trying to do something different and not just limit yourself in one particular box.
Oh, so that's you gotta evolve, you gotta grow and evolve and embrace new ideas and experiment and trial and error, because if you don't, you just grow stagnant.
Yes. Let's see. Sorry, just reading here. Oh, yes. So with that in mind, are there any particular bands or individual artists that you would maybe like to collaborate with in the future, with your ideas?
Well, actually, if you don't mind, I have a list. Just a second.
It's not a problem.
I'm one of those people. I dream big, and I have a lot of dreams and plans for my life, and I believe in the law of attraction, and I create vision boards. And it's amazing what you can draw into your life just by reflecting on it every day. So yeah, I mean, I have a little list, and here it says like Duma Borger is one of them, and surprisingly I found out that there was something I did recently. I'm not allowed to talk about it too much, but one of the ex-members was part of it too, so I feel like I've already accomplished that dream, and that's scary because I've had this on my vision boards for years. I'd love to like perform with Bjork and Vast and A Perfect Circle. I definitely would love to sing with Chris Motionless or Jonathan Davis or Pete from Chevelle, and I would definitely love to do an appearance with Camelot if they'd ever have me. And yeah, and one crazy big dream is to do something with The Weeknd, who is a hip-hop artist from here in Canada. Yes. I absolutely adore his music. It's got me through some really hard times. So, I definitely, I do have big dreams. There are a lot of people I'd love to collaborate with. And also just with my harp, I have been asked to be on various different projects. Not a lot have come to true fruition yet. I feel like, people are like, oh, I really want you to do this thing. But then they're like, but I got to get my stuff together. And then it takes them like 2 years to get their stuff together, which it happens. It happens. That's life. That's part of being a musician. There's been offers from trip hop bands, witch house artists, a lot of people in heavy metal. So, I mean, in time, it may or may not happen. I'm not too concerned. I see a lot of younger people, like I'm 32 now, and I've been doing this for a very long time, since I was 15, and I have a lot of friends who are in their early 20s or mid-20s, and they're working hard towards what they say they want to be on my level, and I'm like, that's very sweet, I'm in one of those places where I feel very established and happy with what I have achieved, but I don't want to stop there, but I see their anxiety and their hunger, and all I can say is you have to accept that things don't always happen at the time you expect them to, and you just got to keep working hard and take care of yourself. And that's kind of where it stands. So, I mean, I look at my list and I'm like, these would be cool things to happen, but if they don't happen, it's okay, because I've accomplished a lot of my dreams already since I've been in Cradle of Filth, and even a little bit before that. So it's kind of like, it's okay. I'm not as anxious, and I'm still hungry, but I'm definitely not like, I have to prove myself and make this happen. So that's a good thing.
Yes. No, that's awesome. That sounds great. And no, those are some really nice artists you mentioned there. I actually enjoy a lot of their stuff as well. But yeah, no, that's you always gotta dream big, always reach for the top. But yeah, no, I agree with you there that it's always good to look back at what you've managed to accomplish and then actually think to yourself like, wow, I did all that, and as you say, like you're still hungry for it, but you don't feel this need to constantly prove it over and over again and whatnot. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. It's great to know that you're very motivated. So um, now this is a question that I'm really interested in finding out the origins of. Your stage name, Lindsay Schoolcraft. I'm guessing you're a fan of H.P. Lovecraft
Well,
to come
actually,
up with. Are
no.
you?
Well, I am, and you know what? Okay, funny story. So, everyone thinks it's a Lovecraft reference, and I did embrace
Oh, okay.
like the Cthulhu look for the 2014 tour we did with Behemoth, where I had like tentacles like on my head and on my leggings. And my friend Ian, he got me for Christmas. He got me the entire collection of Lovecraft, and my boyfriend is currently borrowing it. So I never even got a chance to get to it. From what I need to delve into Lovecraft. It's Cammy from Oceans of Slumber is gonna kill me because she's like, "What is wrong with you?" Like I can just hear her like ah. But like that's the thing. I focus so much on music. Sometimes I outside of music, all I really have time for is anime, and there's just so much going on in my life. There's only so much like culture and pop culture stuff I can get into, and dark literature. But no, actually, my stage name,
Yes.
Schoolcraft is a First Nations name in my family. Now, I'm not directly related. I do not have any First Nation blood in my line, but when we were going
Yes.
back and studying our lineage, at the time we did believe there was First Nation blood in our systems. And
Yes.
and so I started to adopt the spirituality. I was raised Catholic. I believe that Catholicism can be a good thing, but some of its outdated views are very racist and misogynistic, and I refuse to be a part of that. So it wasn't working for me. I do have Catholic and Christian friends. Let me tell you, they're sweet as pie, and I love them, and we all get along. That's the beauty of the diversity of Canada's cultural embrace. But I decided to adopt First Nation spirituality as my belief system, and it has been the most comforting and peaceful thing for me. It has helped me to cope better with life and its hardships. And I kept my stage name as Schoolcraft because it protects my legal name from being out there. And but on top of that, it's also a name that I've adopted because it just, I don't know, it's just, I'm proud to say that those people are my cousins, and I'm proud to say that I am somewhat related to First Nation people. If you look in history, what has happened to them has just been disgusting. And, if there's any way I can bring that education and knowledge forward to people today, I mean, definitely. But, yeah, and I mean, there's, some people discredit this crap, and it's not crap, but they call it that. And honestly, there's a long line of, psychics and mediums and people of alchemy in my family, and I feel like it's more of a suiting name. I feel like my birth name was more just of a clan name that was given, and it didn't really connect with me in the way that Schoolcraft has connected with me. So once I started embracing that side of me, more truth started coming out about my past and my family and a lot of our gifts. And to this day, I believe that there's more going on than we perceive. Definitely.
Okay. All right. No, that's very interesting. But one would be mistaken to associate with Lovecraft in a
I
way.
get it
But
all the time. I get it all the time. That's fine.
but yeah, no. No, I only got into Lovecraft stuff I think about a year or so ago, and I haven't read everything he's written,
Mm-hmm.
but it's probably like I've never been a fan of horror per se, unless the horror is more like like an aesthetic to the story, and maybe something like action is more the focus of it. So like the Underworld movies, for example, or
Yes.
Alien and Predator.
Yes.
But if you had to say to me, "Oh, go watch The Exorcist," I'll be like, "Nope, nope, nope. I am not watching that shit," and I still haven't. But no. After reading Lovecraft stuff, because it's like it does evoke like a sense of terror, but not in the same way. It's more atmospheric and something like that, and it's something that I really appreciate about his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And since discovering his stuff, I've just discovered like a whole new variety of things in music, in even in anime, believe it or not.
Yes.
And yeah, he's just become this pop culture phenomenon as of late. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's yeah, no, it's been very interesting. I never thought I'd get into his stuff, but I had a friend who was just like, "Oh no, dude, you got to read this guy's stuff. You'll absolutely love it." And lo and behold, I did. So, but that's a very interesting backstory to how you got the name. So, that's awesome. Uh, let's see. Now, obviously, you said at the beginning, and your followers who follow you on Twitter, they might know this about you already. But for those of you listening who don't know, Lindsay is a huge anime fan, and would you care to tell us like how you got into anime, and maybe like what are some of your favorite shows and characters?
Oh, totally. So, what happened is when I was younger, when I was a child, Sailor Moon became extremely popular here in North America. And Sailor Moon was like my first introduction to anime, and at the time I was like a huge Disney fanatic. But there was something
Hmm,
about the different style and animation that really connected with me. Like the way they're drawn, the eyes and the slenderness of the bodies. I just thought it was extremely beautiful. I love the stories. It was a completely different concept. From Sailor Moon, there was card captors, and the one that really resonated with me was Pokemon. And I gotta get a new Game Boy,
nice.
but to this day, Pokemon is like a huge. It's just it has a special place in my heart. I mean, I don't have the time for it anymore like I used to, but I could just play
Yeah,
I could play the original games for like hours and hours and hours. It was so much fun. It was a nice little escape. But then what happened is once I decided to fully commit myself to music. I mean, let's be real here. I was cosplaying before I even knew what cosplaying was. Um, but that was around the time I was 12, 13. But then when music came into the picture, I decided, the only way I'm going to establish myself in a career in this industry is if I just drop everything and sacrifice it all to to make this happen. So during that time, I entirely forgot about anime. I feel like I missed out on so much, especially from like 2000 and it would have been like 2002 until like last year. I feel like I missed out on a lot. But
oh,
and I did. I definitely did. But I'm getting caught up. And what happened is during that time, there was an anime that was brought to my attention when I was in college called Ergo Proxy, which is to this day my favorite anime. And that was the only one that,
hell yeah,
yeah, it was the only one that I actually cared about and looked into. I've watched it maybe 5 or 6 times now. Absolutely love it.
nice.
It's a total, it's very confusing. But once surprisingly enough, that sparked a conversation with the man who's now my partner, and he's gotten me back into anime. My partner is a very talented musician and drummer from our home city of Oshawa, and of course we have a lot in common. We always have something to talk about, but the thing is we're both workaholics, and we need to at least take once a week to just chill out. So in that time, we take one night a week and we watch anime, and we have a giant list of everything we're gonna go through. And since then, I've got caught up on quite a few classics, but also quite a few interesting new releases that are coming out. And then because of this, when surprisingly enough, when we started dating, I've been to Japan twice, and it's been a lifelong
Hmm.
dream of mine. And going there and being able to appreciate Japan on a whole other level. So it's very close to my heart. Japan is my favorite country in the world, next to Taiwan, of course. And
Hmm.
I just love the culture, and I love the people, and I love they're such honorable people. But that, like, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have anime. And anime does things that it goes far beyond what I feel. Even Ghibli, it goes far beyond what Disney would do, and I have a whole lot of love and respect for that.
Yes. Yes, it turns us all into weebs.
Hell yeah!
But I have the power of God and anime on my side. But yeah, no, and it's given us some great memes as well.
Hell yeah!
So yeah, no, Ergo Proxy, that show has always been in my top three anime of all time. Like, I literally have my three top anime have never changed. Like
Really?
everything else kind of like rotates in and out in my top 10,
Right.
but my top three are the original Berserk anime from 1997, which is the best one. So every time the manga readers are like, "Oh, there's never been a good adaptation of Berserk," I'm like, "No, 1997 one is the best. Ask anyone."
Right.
Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. Because I think that series nails the tone of the manga and the Masamune Shiro's original intent a hell of a lot better than the original movie did. The original movie was like a lot darker and more existential and whatnot, whereas standalone complex, it's got existential themes, but it's more focused on like the technology and the politics of it. And of course, it's longer and it's got more development and stories. So, and it's got amazing music by Yoko Kanno.
Yes.
So, and I just love her work.
Yes.
And then of course number 3 is Ergo Proxy, because that show's take on the cyberpunk genre, giving it like a supernatural feel, making it more atmospheric than what it usually is. Yoshihiro Ike's score, like
so good.
Everything about it is just awesome, and Riel is she's one of my favorite characters of all time.
Too.
Absolutely badass.
And the thing I like about her, you know, and I relate a lot to her, is in the beginning she's like, she sees society for what it is, and it bores her, and do you know what I mean? She wants to always find out more and learn more, and even if it's dark and painful, she's willing to like embrace that. And then she's definitely like, she is a kick-ass character. She doesn't take shit from no one, which I love. But you know, she goes through this you know, sometimes it's like we do have our existential crises, but at the end she's like, you know, no, I'm going to do this because I want to know the truth, and this is what's important to me. And I just love her growth as a character. Like, she really finds herself at the end of it. And I mean, I love the idea of like the artificial intelligence, and how like Pino is a very cool character, how she, you know,
I love Pino. She's so
soul.
cute.
It's like, she's a really cute little robot who finds a soul and learns what it means to be sad and be human. Due to the Cogito virus that, you know, makes all the robots have free thinking, which is scary, because then, you know, you see Iggy like turn into this like possessive boyfriend, which was Riel's what do they call them? Like, they're like an assistant robot. I can't remember. Entourage.
Or Auto Raves.
Auto
Raves.
So it's just an incredible story, and everyone's like, oh, it's pretentious, and yes, okay, it does have a lot of loopholes, but if you watch it like 4 times like us, you learn to love it, and it makes sense to you. And I love stories with strong female leads, and with Vincent Law, who is kind of the very confusing topic in the whole story. He's, you know, a god disguised as a human. And he's just trying to find himself, and there's a lot of humor, and, you know, it's just such an interesting concept. Like, I feel like it, honestly, like, on my vision board here, one of my like out there crazy dreams, if I ever had the chance, if I had millions of dollars, is I would buy the rights to it, and I would write it its second season that it deserves, because I feel like there's so much more that could be done with that story, and you know, people just write it off so quickly, because by the time they get to the exhibition dump episode of the game show, they're just like, this is whack, I'm leaving, you know what I mean? And it's like, no, hold on, it gets better, I swear. But
the good shit's coming.
You don't even know. But I mean, so the landscapes are beautiful. It did deteriorate in this, it deteriorated in the cell production quality, which it happens sometimes. You know, they were on a low budget, they were going bankrupt. I get it. It like, Ergo Proxy has a really crazy backstory to it too, and what was going through Manglobe at the time. But
may they rest in peace.
But it's really cool, and that's actually what kind of it sparked the the friendship between me and my boyfriend, who's now my boyfriend. So I mean, that's pretty cool. It has a special place in my heart.
No, that's great. That's great. That anime can bring so many people together along with music. But Yeah, no, anime is a very special medium, and as you say with the Ergo Proxy, yeah, it's one of those very interesting shows. And I get how other people feel about it because there's this one YouTuber, this one anime YouTuber, like a lot of his early stuff that he used to do before he started going off the deep
Oh,
end
jeez.
was and what I mean by going off the deep end is like now when he makes these videos, he's mostly either drunk or really high when he does them, and he keeps changing his
Oh, bless him.
opinions
So
on
bitter and
something
jaded.
like yeah, if like every other day, like one day he'll say something's good, and then like a month later he'll be like, "Oh no, it's shit. I never said it was good."
Oh,
but
God.
but I remember he made a video about like a list of anime that he really hates, and one of them was Ergo Proxy, and he was just tearing into it. Yeah, I think I mentioned his name. What's the YouTuber? Digibro.
Yes.
And
I know who that is.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Oh, goodness.
Oh gosh, he just tore into it, and I was like, "How dare you, sir?"
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but it is one of those very unique shows. Like, I really want to make a video myself
I
on
think you
it,
should.
but yeah, but that's the thing. I'm still trying to figure out my interpretation of the story because the one thing I do know I like about it is its atmosphere. And but the thing is that if you keep talking about atmosphere so much, people are like, okay, we get it. You like atmosphere, you know. And I mean, there's only so much you can talk about without spoiling the story. Like you can't like point to each scene and then like spoil it for everyone.
Yeah.
So but yeah, no, it's a fantastic show. I always recommend it to people if they want to watch something that's it's anime, but it doesn't feel
Yeah,
like anime at this
it makes you
because
think.
yes, but I mean because I mean it doesn't have like okay maybe with the exception of Pino, but
Yeah.
most of the characters don't act in that anime way. There's none of the over the top like comedy and and the other anime personality tropes like the cute childhood friend and the
Yeah.
tsundere and
I
the
think it
all
kind
this.
of
It's
relates to something that maybe we would go through in real life in the future if our
yeah.
world was like that. Like I look at it and I'm just like, yeah, I could see myself getting stuck in this situation in the future. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Russ, I'm so sorry. I just have to go take care of something at the door. I'll leave everything here and record it. We'll have to edit it out. Can you give me
Sure.
5 minutes? Okay,
Yes,
thank you so
sure.
much.
Not
I
a
will be
problem.
right back.
Okay.
Hey Russ, sorry about that. It happened it got resolved sooner than expected. I just have a lot of parcels coming here. Okay.
No,
Back to the conversation.
it's alright. It's all
Sorry.
good. Yes. No, it's fine. Yeah, no, but I get what you're saying about it because the director of Ergo Proxia, what's his name? Shuko Murase.
Yes.
The thing I notice about a lot of his work is that he's very influenced by Western movies and TV shows
Yes.
and music.
Yes.
And it's very apparent, not just in Ergo Proxy, because he based Riel off of Amy Lee and
definitely.
various other things. But if you watch his very first show that he did, which is another favorite of mine, also my top 10, Witch Hunter
Which I need
Robin.
to watch. It's on my list.
Yeah, it's a lot of people will say it's boring, but I mean, if you could watch Ergo Proxy and really enjoy it, like you'll really enjoy Witch Hunter Robin. It's basically what's that anime YouTube again? Glass Reflection. He's said that even though he didn't like it, he said the premise of it is basically Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, but instead of in a cyberpunk future with cyborgs and stuff, it's basically set in modern day Japan, but with a specialized force dedicated to hunting witches and other
Wow.
supernatural stuff. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. If you watch it, it's written like a Western TV show would be, obviously with the cool those things that anime brings with it as well. Soundtrack's amazing, and I think it was composed by the guy who did the Gurren Lagann soundtrack. But it's very different from that stuff because normally when he composes those soundtracks, they kind of like mishmash stuff that Linkin Park would do,
Oh,
where they kind
wow.
of blend like hip hop with rock and rock with this and whatnot. So he usually does stuff like that, but this one was very, very different and very atmospheric once again. But I believe when Witch Hunter Robin came out, they were going to, I think Sci-Fi was going to do a live action series of
Really?
it, a live action adaptation. Yeah, back then already, but then they cancelled it, and I'd say just as well because the live action adaptations haven't always been great.
No, it's true.
So
It's painfully
so
true.
I shudder. Yeah, so I shudder to think what like a early to mid 2000s anime adaptation would have been
Ugh.
like, but like maybe like a lot of the superhero movies back then. But yeah, no, it's yeah, no, that's what I really liked about Ergo Proxy because I always have these friends who are like, oh, I don't like anime, I don't like the way the stories are told, the way it's directed and whatnot, and
Right.
I'm like, just watch Ergo Proxy. You won't even know it's anime
Right.
unless you keep reminding yourself, like, okay, this is animated. I can see it's animated, but the way it feels, it doesn't feel animated. It feels like a TV show that I'd watch on any network in America or in my case South Africa or something like that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Are they? Are they? Oh yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
You did mention Sailor Moon, Codecaptor Sakura, which there is a sequel that came out a few months ago. I think it's still airing. Maybe I don't know.
I'm scared.
Yeah, when she's older.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm like, I haven't even touched it yet. I'm like, do I do this? How do I do this? Oh God, it's like hesitant. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. There was a show that got a second season that I really didn't. I was hoping they wouldn't do. I thought it would be unnecessary, but thankfully, my fears were calmed. So,
which one was that?
I'm trying to remember. Jeez, I cannot remember it now. I watched it. I think I watched it last year. So maybe it was Last Exile. I'm not exactly
sure.
sure.
Well, the one that
but
had a sequel that I was so excited for, and then I was slightly disappointed was Steins Gate.
Oh, did you not like Steins Gate Zero?
I did, and I didn't, because the first season had its closure, and it was great, and I was like, this is fantastic. But then there's just a few things for me fell flat. There was one YouTuber who kind of like hit it on the nose, and I wasn't really aware of my disappointments until he made them prominent, and like I was like, oh yeah, so it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
I really liked it.
Yeah,
I really liked it, but not as much as the first season though, because like the second season, you kind of, because you know already what happens in the original timeline, it kind of makes things like, okay, there is some things are going to be predictable here and there, and not just that, but it has some, I don't know, some strange elements to it and whatnot. But I do agree with you. Like the first season had that closure. I was like, oh, okay, everything got resolved, everything's fine. There's no need to go back to it again. And I mean, it was so weird. It was interesting, but it was weird to see Okabe all depressed because, like, I mean, you're so used to him shouting "Kurasatun!"
Yeah. He's like losing his mind. He's hilarious.
Yeah, no, his mad scientist persona is my favorite. I actually had a friend in school. He was also a huge anime fan. He would not stop, like, along with my brother. They would be like, dude, do the Okabe impression, and they apparently I used to nail it down so well. I don't know if I can anymore. But yeah, no, just randomly, when you're in your weeb stages and you tend to imitate the stuff, and then you look back years later and you're like, damn, there was some cringy stuff.
So cringe. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Doing the Naruto runs in public and
you're
whatnot.
Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, why? But yeah, no, I loved the original Steins Gate. It was a fantastic show. I loved all the characters, and I think I cried buckets during the parts where it was like really dark and stuff, and especially poor Mayuri and all that. So yeah, no, it was just brutal show. Like really rips your heart out and then puts it back in like the other way around, and then when everything gets sorted at the end, you're like, Oh, thank
Yeah,
God.
no,
Okay. It was worth it.
absolutely.
It was
It
worth it.
is like an anime that people do need to look into. It's definitely, I love it. I love the idea of time travel. It's cool. I'm glad it was brought to
Mm.
my attention.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's just incredible. Like words fail sometimes when I try and describe it.
Yeah.
Though, and though another show that's I'm excited for a second season for it, but I tell you, I'm so nervous to like go through all that emotion again. Made in
Oh my
Abyss. That
god.
show.
That show
That
broke me. Okay, what an incredible anime. I believe that my boyfriend told me this. I believe that it was actually supposed to be a video game that got rejected as a video game, and that explains why the story
yes,
evolves the
yes,
way it does, which I can see. I mean, as a video game, I would totally play it. But the thing that happened is it was it was literally the third anime me and my boyfriend watched, and at the time actually I was going through some health problems. Some where
mm,
actually there was a period there where we didn't know if I had 3 months to live, but I'm very grateful that I got over it. And during that time, earlier that year, my cat had passed away. And without giving too many spoilers, there is a point in the show where a certain character has to show a form of compassion towards a person that they love in putting them out of their misery. That scene,
yes,
I was like triggered. I was stuck on the couch, like I was bawling my eyes out, and my boyfriend's like, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm not," because it hits. I feel like as an anime, it hits people really hard for those who've lost someone they love. I'm actually getting like so
yes,
emotional talking about it because it's the most like an animation. Like it was
yeah.
beyond Mufasa's death in The Lion King for me. Like it was beyond
Oh yes,
Bambi's mom.
yes,
Do you know what I mean? Coming from a Disney background, it was
yes, yes.
horrible for me. And I've never. It's very real. I've never connected with in animation or related to a character as much as I did when that happened. It's difficult, and I feel like everyone goes through it with a loved one or a loved animal in their life, especially because we have the compassion to put animals out of their suffering, yet for some reason there's no euthanasia for people and we have to like suffer to the bitter end. And I feel like that is even more difficult to watch our loved ones deteriorate as they get older. But yeah, that Made in Abyss is a brilliant anime, like highly recommended if you can deal with subtitles. I know it's coming out in English, but it's
Mm,
just so well written, and really the characters are so unique, and it's such a cool story, honestly. So
mm. Yeah, very human. Sorry, just gonna close the
yeah,
window
no
1 second.
problem.
The pier, we've got some freakish winds. You could swear it was a tornado
Oh my gosh, you're
outside.
going through like all the different seasons and forecasts down there.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
just
take your
1 second.
time.
Oh yeah, that's some black metal weather out there, right? Ah, but yeah, no. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It was a really good show, but yeah, it was just very emotional, and like I mean, Berserk's also like that as well. But I won't like spoil
I've heard
that.
mixed things
But
about Berserk. Some people, you have to be very tough in mind to handle Berserk, and I hear it is
yeah,
brilliant and it is a good story. Me and my boyfriend have yet to watch it. It's kind of like down on our list because it is a very difficult. It goes through a lot of very difficult life topics, and it's not for the sensitive
yes,
hearts. That's for sure.
yes. Yes, I've had friends who've dropped it, but the ones who have managed to go through it, like I have, it truly makes for some of the best discussions you can have when you've watched an anime like shows like Steins Gate or other classics like Evangelion. You get those kinds of discussions from it, and
Yeah.
it's just really good. And Guts as a character, like that dude is man.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it, but he's like a freaking badass, especially with that sword. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so yeah, that's about all the weeby inside. I'd just like to, I'd just like to maybe bring back to the music aspect a little bit quickly. So well, it's still anime related, but it's also got to do with music. But does anime or anime music impact some of the stuff you write and compose, and like whether it's the score, music, the openings, the endings, or anything from Japanese artists?
Well, I'm definitely a big fan of Yoshiki, who I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he's from Japan X, the keyboardist. He's
Yes.
brilliant. I like a lot of his work. I like Japan X. I find something really cool about opening music is it's just so differently structured than what we would have out here, especially for pop structures. And I like that. I like the modulations. I like the different choirs. I think there's Japanese people have a very unique tone to their voice. I've sang with Japanese singers before, and it's quite beautiful and haunting. The soundtracks that have
Yes.
really been inspiring for me is definitely the Ergo Proxy soundtrack, a little bit of Steins Gate, some stuff in Evangelion, definitely. Unfortunately, I don't own enough soundtracks. The problem being over here in Canada is art books and soundtracks, they barely make it here. And if they do, they're very expensive.
Yes.
I've been just
I feel your pain.
I've actually have a friend who's moving. He's been in Japan for years. He's moving back to England, and he's like, "Do you want anything before I leave?" And I'm like, "Dude, find me the Ergo Proxy soundtrack. Like, I will pay you for it." So I've been trying to get my hands on that. I know it's possible to get it on, Amazon? Was it I don't know, one of those websites. It's possible to find it, but it's like $200, and I'm like, I don't have $200. That's like a third of my rent. I'm like, I can't do this right now. But yeah, it definitely. Me personally, I am a huge fan of. I love the combination of rock and electric and symphonic. Those are huge for me. I love choirs, not just like Gregorian chant, Orthodox chant, but I also love children's choirs. I like non-traditional choirs, like Ghost in the Shell. That opening, that's a very scary sounding choir.
Oh yes, that's the one that Kenji Kawai composed.
It's haunting.
Yeah,
it's scary. It invokes some kind of emotion in you, and I feel like the one anime recently that I watched that I'm just like, Jesus, this music is incredible. Is Madoka Magica.
Oh yes.
Jesus.
What's her name? Yuki Kajiura. That's her name.
Unbelievable. Like, that music is just so good. What an incredible little anime too.
Her music's all good.
It's an anime worth watching. It's brilliant. I think there's a second season coming out, but anyways.
I don't know about a second season. I think it's another movie. Although the thing that disappoints me about it is like the actual show, like the 12, 13 episodes that it was. Like, I liked that. I thought it ended off like, it was a bittersweet, sad one, but it felt like it had a conclusion. And then the movie Rebellion came along and took the character who you're supposed to feel like, like sorry and sympathetic for. And then it's like, oh, well, she's kind of evil now. And then I'm like, oh, God damn it. And now they're like, oh, but there's another sequel. And then I'm like, oh, no, not again.
No, it's a lot to keep up on, definitely.
But the music, Yuki Kajiura, is incredible. I love her stuff, and even her stuff that you did on most people also praises also her work on the Garden of the Sinners movies.
Okay.
They're animated by the guys who did what was it? Fate Zero and Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, UFO Table. Those guys are next level animation, but Yuki Kajiura captured the atmosphere of that show so perfectly, and it's one of my most listened to soundtracks. I listen to it like on repeat.
Amazing.
It's so good. Yeah, but it's good to know that you got some inspiration from there as well, because anime scores they're very different. Like movie scores, like they can still be good, and there are a lot of good ones still coming out, but a lot of them seem to sound, like there was a video that was put up on YouTube. I can't remember the YouTuber's name. I think it was Every Frame a Painting or something like that. This guy did a whole video explaining why the music for the Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't actually stand out and you don't remember anything from it. And I was like, oh shit, this dude's quite right, because it's like a lot of them, they heard Hans Zimmer's stuff on The Dark Knight, and then they all try and repeat it, but then they like do these hurried and rushed compositions, and there's no like actual theme to it. I think the only song you can remember from the Marvel movies is the Avengers theme, and when it started, that's like the only one you know. Like you don't remember a Captain America theme or Here Comes the Hulk theme or something like that. It's just like, oh well, there's just music in the back. I can't really hear it over the sound effects and explosions, but it's there somewhere. But when you listen to anime soundtracks, like especially if it's a composer like Susumu Hirasawa or Yoko Kanno, those two, like, they already, before the show's even begun production, these guys are like already writing stuff, and they somehow managed to capture the mood of everything. Like Kanno's work on like Vision of Escaflowne or Cowboy Bebop, and then Hirasawa with Berserk, or Satoshi Kon's films like Paprika and the Paranoia Agent series and all that. Like, I don't know what it is. These guys somehow managed to nail it down, and you remember every song, and when you put the soundtrack on, you can listen to every track. You don't need to skip because you're just like, I just want to listen. It takes you to another world. True. I really love it. And another thing I'd like to ask is, so touring. What are some of the things that you love about it, and what are some of the things you hate about it?
Well, I really love touring. I love, it's my job to travel the world and perform music for people and help them and better their lives. I mean, heavy metal heals and music heals. There's no doubting that. I love that, I can do that. I'm very grateful that I get to do that with my life and my career. I get along with the guys in Cradle really well. We've been this lineup for almost 5 years. We're a tight unit. We're like a family. And, we did 4-month world tour earlier this year, and we still can put up with each other, and that says a lot. I love seeing the world. I have friends all over the world now that I get to catch up with, people who are very close to me, near and dear. And, I find with traveling, there becomes a level of inspiration and experience that you don't get when you're stuck stagnant in your hometown. Definitely. That's very true. I got a lot of my inspiration to write my music when I'm on my travels, even if it's just lyrics in a book and a quick voice note on my phone, right? So there's that. There are a few downsides to touring. Sometimes you don't get a shower for up to a week. You have to deal with dirty hair. It's pretty gross. Bad skin, definitely. I'm trying to better, since I've become a certified cosmetologist, I'm really trying to better my skincare routine. I wish the guys would too, but that's their problem, not mine. So there's that. And there's also, it's missing your loved ones back at home. I find that I used to use tour as an escape from my problems. I used to have issues with my family and past relationships, and in one of the worst heartbreaks I ever faced happened right before I joined the band, and I ran away with my problems, and I never really dealt with them. And that's something a lot of touring musicians have a problem with, is they just use tour as an escape, but then when you get home, it comes back and it hits you hard, and you have to deal with it. But now that I'm in a loving, healthy relationship, it's difficult, but I do have that support. It's not difficult in the sense that they don't understand. They understand, but I miss them. You know what I mean? And you're away from your family, and in some cases, for some of our members, they're away from their children. It's a lot. It's definitely it's a lot. It can be difficult, but I mean, we look at the end result. We're doing something really cool and unique with our lives, but we're also bringing a lot of happiness to other people, and in putting on a show that we can enjoy.
Definitely. No, that sounds great. Like, I've yet to attend any concerts because, the scene here in my country is so damn small. And, even when bands do come out here, I never know where the venue's at, and even when I do, I look at my bank accounts and I'm like,
bank account said no.
Yeah, so,
I feel your pain.
But, Yeah, so unfortunately, I've missed the opportunity to see some of my favorites here. Like I still remember back in school days, when In Flames came out here at one of our festivals, I was like huge into them. I still am, but I mean even more so than I am now. I was like huge into In Flames back in the day, and I was like, oh, I don't get to hear them perform, all the stuff from their A Sense of Purpose album. I think they came out here before Jesper left the band. Then what else? Like, I heard Carnifex came
Yes.
out here, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss
Oh,
Carnifex. And then Septic Flesh came out, and I'm obsessed
they're
with that
so
band now. I
good.
haven't stopped listening to. Yeah, and I like, I wanted to see them, and then Fear Factory came out, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss it. Well, looking at all the clips, and I saw them perform Resurrection, which is like my favorite song of theirs. Like, oh no, why am I gonna miss all this shit? But I'll make it to a concert one day.
I believe you.
It will happen soon. But just from like what I see and hear from my other friends who do go, like it's a totally different experience from listening to just the album in your home, because you're actually there with other people and you get to experience it with the band themselves, and it's just a great vibe and atmosphere, and regardless of the venue size. But yeah, no, it's really is something else, and you really get to see people just come together and enjoy something that's been a part of their lives for so long.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, it's I'm really looking forward to my first concert. So to any of my listeners out there and people who be watching my videos, yes, I know I haven't been to a concert yet, so I'm looking forward to your comments saying you haven't been to a concert yet, and you call yourself a metalhead. What is wrong with you?
Oh no, anyone can be a
Just,
metalhead. There's no
yeah,
qualification. We're a very peaceful little community, so
yeah, most of the time,
yes.
But yeah, no, that's great. That's great that there aren't that many downsides to touring. So yeah, no, as long as you're having fun, that is what's important.
Yes.
Um, so one of your upcoming projects, Antiqua, which when I first heard about it, and as did many others, have been eagerly anticipating the release of this
Yes.
record. Is there any possibility that you can maybe perhaps tell us a little bit more about it and maybe what we can
Well,
expect from
Antiqua
it?
is one of those things. It's a bit of a black metal supergroup, and it was an idea started between me and Zenwar of Neobliviscaris. Him and I have a very shared
Mm,
creative brain on what we want to do with black metal and classical music and for a project, and we have a lot of unique ideas. The problem, though, is everyone can't really meet up and do things at the same time because we're all always on tour or recording an album or have other commitments, but we
yes.
slowly all pitch away at this project. Like when and how it will be released, I don't know yet. I'm a bit of a crazy person, and
Mm.
I was forced out on my own this year. I had to take up a side career as a cosmetologist, and I had to do a lot of things to
Mm.
set myself up so, I don't have to file for bankruptcy in 5 years because I messed up my life. And we all
Ah,
go through
yes.
that.
Mm.
We all have to take responsibilities. You have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anyone else. This is very true.
Yes.
So because of that, I am kind of the person who pushes things along the most, and I have not been able to, and I feel horrible. I feel like I've put Antiqua on the back burner. But when things do happen, they will be posted on our social media. It's been tough, and
Yeah.
it's hard because when we did announce it, we expected to be done that writing that album within that year, but life happened and a lot of things got in the way for all of us. So in due
Yes.
time we'll continue to work on it. But it's really cool. I love what we've come up with so far. The main composers are myself, Justine Etier from she's known to be from Blackguard and Carchaos, and then also Urzorn, who's from the black metal band. Is it Negator? Oh my gosh. They make fun of me and my dyslexia. I think I've called them Negotar before, and I don't know which one's which. They just kind of make fun of me for all my spelling mistakes, and that's okay. But, we have a great chemistry. We're not always the strongest of arrangers, and we don't always agree on how the song should go, but that's the thing with heavy metal. There really is no rules. I kind of put out a
Yes.
basic classical idea. Justine helps me finish it. Justine is not only a very talented drummer, but a very talented classical musician. She's done percussion for orchestras, so she can kind of teach me. She teaches me and guides me in the right direction. And then Urzorn has been contributing all the guitar. He brings the black metal for us, and he's a great person. I like him and I miss him a lot. So, I'd say there's about 8 ideas that are being solidified and maybe 2 to 3 more that need to be finished. There's enough material for an album, but it's just dedicating those hours on end. And with everything that I have going on right now, I'm pretty much like, I'm slam solid until next fall, which is tough because, I wish I could do more collaborations and teach more, but, Cradle of Filth takes priority for me, and so does my solo album and releasing it. And, since I had my health problem, it just kind of put everything in perspective for me. And I would love to do Antiqua. Antiqua is something that really speaks true to my heart. Working with a bunch of people, like 2 of my best friends, which is Zen and Justine. That's like, not many people get to say they can do that. But unfortunately, it's just due to my other commitments. I have to keep my word and kind of close the books on those things, make sure they're done, written, and properly released before I can go forward and give it my time. But once I start seeing on the horizon, a few weeks at a time where there's like 10 hours aside and I don't really have anything to do other than like twiddle my thumbs, then I will get back to Antiqua, definitely. But it is beautiful. What we have composed so far, I love. I go back and listen to it and I'm just like, hell, this is beautiful. And a lot of it comes from, sometimes, like, as a songwriter, I definitely do express my hardships over lyrics, but sometimes there's certain things that you feel and see and experience, and there's a soundtrack for them, and you can't express them through lyrics. And there's a lot of
Yes.
heartbreak in the classical side of the music that I have put into Antiqua, and the guys definitely feel that. Like, when they hear it, they're like, Jesus, that's dark. And I'm like, well, let's be real, I've been through some shit, so...
Yes. Yes. No, but yeah, no. It sounds exciting, and I'm sure it will come out when the time is right, and I'm pretty sure people will receive it well, because based on the few tweets that the account you guys created for it and what you've been tweeting on your profile, it does sound like something that will definitely be worth the wait. One of those projects that's worth the wait. So yeah, no. But I am looking forward to hearing something of it, and you can bet it will be featured on my series new metal releases to check
Awesome.
out when it does
Thank you
drop.
very
So
much.
I'll definitely review
Thank
it
you.
then,
It
and I
might
will look
take
forward to
5
it.
years, but it'll happen.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. But yeah, no, we have all had to wait for well, what was that band, Demons and Wizards, to start working on new stuff, and they hadn't released stuff since God
Yeah.
knows when. So,
There's a few bands who are
but they're
notorious
back.
for that.
So yeah, and Dragon Lord dropped some new album a few months back, and they last released something I think in
Yeah,
2005
it's
or
really
6.
good
So
too. I listened to it. I was like, whoa,
yeah,
it's crazy.
it's really good, but the music videos are kind of
Oh, I
hilarious.
know.
Especially the Northlanders one. I tried showing it to my one friend who's not into metal, and he's like, "What the
And that's
hell
the
is
thing about
this? Why does
metal.
it
Like,
look like?"
metal can be anything. It can be whatever you want it to
Yeah,
be, and that's what I love about heavy metal.
yeah. Even like no one would maybe think that a guy like Devin Townsend with all these crazy faces and his style of humor would like work with it, but it does, and everyone just loves him
Yes,
for it. So
totally.
yeah, I love
Me
Devin.
too.
So yeah, no, but that's great to hear that. And as far as your instrumental work, like, are there any other instruments that you wish you knew how to play, or plan on,
Um,
learning as you go along?
I wish I could get, and it's my own fault for not putting the time into it, but I would like to advance as a piano player. But, I've done enough to get by, and there's only so many hours in the day. I definitely right now have been focusing all my energy and time into the harp and my electric harp. I have a harp set coming up when I
Yes.
tour Australia over New Year's. So I really have to
Mm.
focus on that right now. But I mean, whenever the time allows itself, I would love to learn how to properly play the church organ, and I feel like it's something I could pick up pretty easily with playing the piano, so that's definitely that one. But overall,
Yes.
like, my thing is just to become a better vocalist. I've been doing my best to take, I'm sober now, and I'm doing my best to take care of my voice, and that's the main
Yes.
priority. But yeah, eventually maybe there is a church organ at my disposal here in Oshawa, and they've said you can come play anytime, 2 hours a week, and I'm like, oh my god, I need this for myself, I need this for Antigua, but
Yeah.
we got to prioritize. I find the only way we can release anything to the world is that we do have to discipline our creativity, and that's kind of what I need to do.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, no, no, but it's interesting you say the organ because, it's not an instrument you hear from many people nowadays, who will openly say like, oh, I enjoy it and whatnot. But I mean, like, I was also, raised Roman Catholic, and I mean, my mom is like die hard into,
Yes.
organ music. Like every time she finds an organ album or something, she like screams and calls to me, Russell, listen to this, and
Aw.
then like she turns the volume on the speakers, and then you just hear that
Yeah, that
as
giant
the
drone.
deepest. Yeah, that full. It really is something else, and I happen to know people who they play the organ and do all that stuff, and yeah, I've been to a few recitals here and there. No, it's really nice. It is a nice instrument, and whenever I hear it come up, whether it's the actual instrument or just a pre-programmed synth on a keyboard, it really is a nice thing to hear, like almost out of nowhere in metal when you hear an instrument you'd never expect to
Right.
hear. And that's what I really like about a band like Nebula Viscaris, because I discovered them on there's a YouTuber Weeaboo Reacts, and I discovered them on his channel with the and Plague Plus the Kaleidoscope, and I just saw this violent shit, and I
I
was
was
like,
like, what is
what?
this? Yeah, they are very unique.
Yeah, it's like we need more violence in our
Hell
music
yeah.
and stuff. So in a metal, so yeah, yeah, no, it's really nice when you see metal bands put something totally different in, and then it just really adds to the listening experience. Absolutely
Yeah,
love
me
that.
too.
Um. Uh. So. Jeez. Sorry, got a lot
It's
of
okay.
questions here. Um. So, what Cradle song that you helped write would you say is your favorite or the most fun to perform when you're on tour?
It's a different kind of collaboration atmosphere with Cradle of Filth. Hammer the Witches calls more to me. I did have some say in that album. I like that there was a harp
Yes.
instrumental that was really cool. Um,
Mm.
on that album, Hammer the Witches, the title track, is a song I wrote with our bassist and our drummer, and that's like my baby.
Mm.
So we've never played it live. I mean, out of the newer songs that for the time I've been in the band that we do play live, I really like. I really enjoy Right Wing. I really enjoy Black as Magic and singing the high color to our parts in that song. So yeah, like
Mm.
it's cool. It's really really cool.
Nice, nice. And what would you say are like right now, seeing as you guys are fall under the umbrella that is symphonic metal? What would you say are either your favorites, or would you say are the best bands in the symphonic metal scene at the moment?
We're all pretty big fans of Ghost. We really like Septic Flesh and Flesh God Apocalypse. We
Oh
feel that
yes,
they're
Flesh
all
God.
doing a really good job. Yeah, it's hard. I feel it's a little bit sad. And I've had this conversation with a few people, but we feel like symphonic metal has kind of had its time. It's had its heyday from like the
Yeah.
mid 2000s to the late mid 2000s, if you know what I'm talking about, like into the teens. Talking
Yes.
about 2013, 14, it kind of fizzled off. A lot of bands have just
Yes.
kind of stayed in that time period, but it's really cool to see artists like Septic Flesh and Flesh God kind of taking it to the next level. And I mean, I think we can definitely contribute to that too, and try to step up. You shouldn't keep reinventing the same song and writing the same wheel. If you're feeling uninspired, take a break and come back and try to experiment and bring something new to the table. I mean, who am I to say anything? Like, I don't have much credential towards my name. I just see things and I view them and speak my mind and, take it or leave it. But I mean, there are a lot of really great bands out there. I mean, some artists that I see what they're doing and I'm just like, this is incredible, is definitely like Oceans of Slumber and Mirker. And even the new Behemoth was really well put together and thought out. Really cool album.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot to definitely give credit to, moving forward with heavy metal. And the sky's the limit, the future, like nothing's, anything's open. Like we don't have to keep, going by the same rules. There are no rules in metal. So we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting you say that, but yeah, no, just another band that I really feel are adding to the symphonic thing as well is it's definitely Karak Angren. Like, those guys. When I listen to their albums, like when I think like horror stuff and how to push its limits, like that's it. Because I can listen to albums like Where the Corpses Sing Forever or Death Came Through in a Phantom Ship or any of those, and like still get really spooked out while listening to it, because there's something about the way Clemens, I think that's how you say his name, Clemens, I'm sorry if I there's something about the way he writes music, that the horror music, that it's so it doesn't sound like cliche horror music, like you'll be watching a modern horror horror movie and then you're like, yeah, the spooky music, and then you're like, oh, that's not scary at all. But then when you listen to his stuff, you're like, you're not even looking at something visual, it just evokes images in your mind, and you're like, you get all paranoid, and you're like, oh shit, there's something hiding behind the couch.
That's
like,
what good music should do. That's what art should do. It should invoke that in you, and mad respect to them. They do it very well.
Yes. And he's also like super flexible with the way he does it as well, because I've heard the stuff he contributed towards with the recent Ex Deo album that came out last year, and the stuff that he did with what's that? I think a Swedish band, Pain. That was like such different stuff. Like Ex Deo, it was symphonic, but obviously it wasn't like spooky symphonic. It was like the very battle anthem, and you were like, oh, this sounds epic, I'm going out to battle, Roman time stuff. And then you hear his stuff on Pain, and then it's like this epic power metal kind of stuff, and I was just like, whoa, this is the same dude. And then you go and explore his Bandcamp, and then he's got all this stuff he did for soundtracks and whatnot. I'm like, this guy is really onto something and whatnot. So yeah, I really appreciate what they're doing as a band, because there are a lot of horror themed bands out there that I feel like now they kind of lost the touch, or they're just trying to imitate like what bands like Cradle or anyone else, one of the bigger names, have done and before, but then they try and imitate it, and it doesn't work as well because we've all heard it before now, and then you're like, this again. But Karak Angren are really pushing it to a new level. So and I must admit, they not only that with their music, but I don't know how it is, but all three members, they are such good actors. Like, you watch their music videos, those guys could be in like big budget Hollywood movies and like pull off like really convincing performances. Like they're so good. Really appreciate it. So yeah. Now, sorry. You mentioned, I think you mentioned some of your favorite vocalists before, but are there any others that like really stand out that make you want to push your voice a lot further?
Yeah, there's actually this YouTuber who's blown up a little bit in the last while. His name's Sam Johnson, and he's just a really good teacher. He's a very positive person. He understands how to motivate people to do better through positive criticism. instead of it being
Yes.
like this, like a Simon from American Idol kind of thing, which I really think is like, that old school way of doing anything needs to just die, because it's just wrong. I think we, as people, as a community, we as singers and artists, we should all support each other and lift each other up and tell each other what we're doing well, and then come in and say, what we can improve on, and how we can do
Yeah.
better. And Sam Johnson does a really good job of that. He's taught me a lot, and it's interesting. He actually, he made me more confident as a vocal coach, because when I'm listening to his videos, I understand everything he's saying, which is great. But a lot of him and I share a
Yes.
lot of the same opinions on other singers, and that gives me some confidence too. So yeah, he's definitely inspired me to be not only a better singer, but a better teacher, and I'm really enjoying it. I have 6 students right now, and they all inspire me in their own way. They're very hardworking and fantastic people. I love it. But yeah, I mean, as far as singers go, I'm trying to think of some out there that are out there today. It's really hard because I'm just so oversaturated with singers in what I do, and there's so many of us around.
Yes.
Some that really blow
Yeah.
me away. To this day, I think Celine Dion just blows me away. A friend of mine who I haven't seen in a
Yes.
very long time, Elise Rid from Amaranth. I think she's an incredible singer.
Oh, yes. Elise is
She's
good.
incredible.
Yes.
There's so many incredible singers out there, and they all have their own beautiful way of doing things, like Taria does. And I just watch everyone and learn, and yeah, it's really, really cool. It's really a lot of them I get to call friends, and it's hard when it's like music's like almost like your first language, and so is singing. And when it comes to listening, it's different now, because like before, when you don't really understand something, you just think, oh my god, this person's amazing, and da 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 da. But then when you learn how they do everything, and you can kind of imitate it in your own way, there's this slight like jadedness that happens, and it's difficult, but it's okay. I'm more starting to understand the clean male voice, which is cool, through my students. They're pushing me to expand my knowledge on that, and I have a lot of respect for that. Male voice is very different than a female voice, of course.
Yeah.
But
Very different.
I can still watch people and listen to them and appreciate them for what they are. And I think that's important.
Yes. Yes. No, that sounds awesome. And now you mentioned a YouTuber, and also you've said a few times on your profile that you're thinking of doing some YouTube on the side or something like that. Are there any YouTubers that favorite YouTubers of yours that you like watching, revisiting, and even if their content is nothing like you plan on doing, like something that just makes you watch them and think, oh, they make it look so fun, I really want to try that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I still have to go ahead. I've got my camera and everything ready, but life has just not been very kind to me. My harps keep breaking, and they keep needing to be repaired and restrung, and just so much goes on in my daily life that it's just been so hard for me to find the time to sit down and film. And I feel really bad because people are expecting it from me, and I have not been able to deliver, but that's life. But I'll get to it when I can. But besides that, there's Jen Loves Reviews is actually someone who I've admired for a long time, and she invited me to be on her channel earlier this year, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
She's so cool, and her channel is just growing, and I'm very proud of her and honored to call her a friend. Someone else who inspires me is Jordy from It's Likely Makeup, and she just makes makeup look so fun, and she's adorable and a very talented makeup artist, and I enjoy watching her. I feel like I learn a lot from her. And then another one who makes me laugh and says it how it is Makeup Struggles, and she's so honest and funny, and she just says it how it is, and I love that. And I mean, she doesn't care if she gets harassed or gets like slammed for her views and ideas. She is who she is, and I just have a lot of respect for that. But every time I go on her channel, I just laugh, because she catches you off guard with just some of the funniest ways of explaining things. So I get it. She's great. So yeah, I mean, I do in Sam Johnson too, of course, and I do want to look into starting to film some stuff, but life has just been so mean to me lately. I do not know where I'm finding the extra time at the moment. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, there are a lot of great and interesting YouTubers coming up. Like obviously some have been around for a
Yes.
while, but others like only fairly recently. Like one of my favorite channels right now, and he's a good friend of mine. His name is Mike, and he's I won't give out his last name in case
Yeah.
some of his fans who came from his channel here are listening like, well, like hunt for his Facebook profile, but but Mike, he goes by the channel name Become the Night, and also the Music Snob. Got this. He is such a character, and no, you can tell he's like I know nothing about music theory and whatnot, despite my enjoyment of music, and but he he has this way of when he talks, and you can really feel like how passionate he is about it, about some music, songwriting, and everything, and how much he cares for the craft, and he makes a lot of interesting points, and like I've learned so much from his channel, and I've been able to pick up on things in like genres where I never would have thought certain techniques and stuff get implemented, and of course I've discovered new artists through him as well. And even learned to appreciate bands that like maybe back in the day when all I wanted were like just catchy and heavy songs, like in my new metal days. Um, yeah, no, he really got me to appreciate bands more like Opeth, and I remember back when I wasn't a huge fan of Periphery because the only song of theirs I liked was Icarus Lives, and then all the others sounded too technical. But then after he explained it all and everything, I was just like, oh, I get it now, and I was actually being able to appreciate their music more. Now they're like one of my favorite bands of all time. No, he's a really cool dude. Then obviously you got your vocalists and your cover guys. Like I really appreciate the guys who do the anime covers and stuff. Like Jonathan Young's pretty
Mm-hmm.
good, or the guys who do comedic stuff. Especially me being the age that I am, I'm very much into like a lot of the core genres like metalcore and deathcore and all that. And like, what's his name? Jared Dines. He does some pretty hilarious stuff concerning the that side of the scene. Alex Terrible of Slaughter to Prevail, he does like absolutely amazing deathcore vocal
Mm-hmm.
covers of stuff. And that mask he's got, that demon mask he wears, like holy cow, he's a real beast. Yeah, there's so many good YouTubers out there. And obviously there are a lot that have impacted my work. A lot of anime YouTubers, particularly. So like Digibro made his early stuff. Um, and there are a handful of others and some music reviewers, Cover Killer Nation, a bit of Anthony Fantano here and there, and all that. But yeah, no, there are a lot of YouTubers out there to watch, and I think like they made me think to myself, oh, this looks like fun. Let me take a shot at it,
Mm-hmm.
and well, here I
Yeah.
am 3 years later,
Totally. Totally.
still doing this. So yeah, no, it's great to see that there's different sides to YouTube other than the people who just do the diss tracks and get themselves into trouble, like the Logan Pauls and the
Oh,
Jake Pauls and
totally.
all that stuff. So yeah, no, YouTube's a lot of fun to do. I'm not gonna lie, and it's a great place to discover stuff and meet new people, talk to people. It's absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely.
So, other stuff. Now we've mostly spoken about like anime and stuff, but I'd like to ask, do you have any other hobbies and pastimes that you maybe enjoy, and maybe things like maybe some favorite movies or favorite video games, if you have
Oh
any?
God, I'm such a boring person outside of music. Music is my life. It consumes me daily. It's a lot of work and very tedious. And outside of that, I don't really have any hobbies because anything that was a hobby was somehow integrated into my career, whether it was makeup or the
Yes.
harp. You know what I mean? Anything like that. So
Mm-hmm.
um, it's yeah. Outside of that, I mean, I just literally hang out with my cat. Again, I watch anime, and that's about it. Like, there's really not much else that I do. I'm pretty boring. But I guess the music thing
No,
is,
you're
yeah, the
not.
music thing is not boring. That's the thing. Yeah, no, I mean, I moved into my new place and I did some interior design, and let me tell you, the final product is beautiful. I'm happy with my apartment, and next is the bathroom, but oh my God, I've never been so frustrated about finding lamps for my walls than I have for like anything in my
Mm.
life. Like, friggin' hell, eBay and Amazon is frustrating. But anyways, it was fun. But that's it. Other than that, like, I'm really boring. Like, I focus on my goals and I meditate and I practice gratitude and the law of attraction, and if there's anything that's considered witchcraft, I think that is it. But that's about it. Once I get off the phone with you here, I'm just literally going to go take care of the pets and play some harp until one of my vocal students shows up. So yeah, I'm pretty chill. I do read, but again, a lot of the stuff I read is like medical books. A lot of stuff to do with psychology. People who've been in hard family scenarios, and a lot of life advice. And I'd like to think a lot of people come to me, they're like, oh, like, I need your advice, and they say I'm very wise, but I just think I'm a very black and white, no bullshit person, and I just tell people how it is. And with having First Nation as my spirituality, there's a saying is like anything can be said as long as it's said with love, and it's true. So that's about it. Psychology is something very interesting to me. I read about it in my free time, but that's it. And then, sometimes listen to heavy metal, listen to a lot of electronic music. I'm pretty chill.
Um, uh, you don't worry. You're not a boring person. I mean, you're in the cool kids club automatically when you're a metalhead and a weeb. So,
Well, that makes me happy to know.
so yeah. um. So, just to ramp things up, I've got a last few questions here. One of these questions is, what has to be the strangest encounter you've had with a fan?
With a fan. Um,
Yes.
I try not to get too negative, but there was one time when we were touring the UK at the beginning of a European tour, and this fan was like, nice to meet you, can I have a photo, can I have an autograph? And then he turned on me and was extremely rude and demeaning to me for being a vegan. And I didn't bring it up,
Mm.
I didn't push my views, and he was just pretty much telling me I was stupid for not eating dairy, and that we need dairy. But I'm standing there, like, and I'm trying to be as polite as possible, and I had to walk away
Yeah.
because like his girlfriend was starting to become embarrassed and like trying to pull him away from me and telling him to shut up, and he was being a dick, which he was. But I'm standing there and I'm like, yeah, but milk is made for baby cows to fatten them up so they don't get eaten by a bear or a lion. So why, like, I'm allergic to dairy. Most people have a lactose intolerance because we're only ever supposed to drink as
Mm.
mammals, we're only ever supposed to drink our mother's milk, and then we lose the enzyme to break down milk, and we're not supposed to have it in our diet anymore. So, and I'm just standing there and
Mm.
he's telling me I'm stupid when I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, this is just my diet. Like, I'm not stupid. I've done my research and I know it works for me. And he's just being very rude and abrasive, and it flipped on me so quickly. And my customer service hat went on because I, I'd never be rude. I try my best never to be rude or cold towards fans, because how
Yes.
they relate to us is so precious to them. It's heartbreaking, and it's happened to me. It's heartbreaking when you meet your idols and they're a jerk to you, and I never want to be nasty to anyone, and I just think it's my nature. I'm not a
Yes.
nasty person at heart. I can be a dick, but only when I've been provoked, let's be real. And instead of being rude,
Yes.
I had to walk away and be like, this is how you feel, but you're not going to change my opinion, especially with how rude and abrasive you've been with me. So thank you. I turned it back to the music and said, thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for your support. And as I'm walking away, he's still shouting at me and telling me, like, I'm stupid for my beliefs. And I'm just like,
Uh,
this is
maybe he was. Sorry, maybe he was just
He
drunk or
was
something. I don't know. That
drunk, you know, and his
happens.
girlfriend was so embarrassed, and I said, "It's fine, sweetie, don't worry about it."
Feel sorry for
But you
her.
know what? It's okay. And it, you know, I had Zen there at the time. It was the first time Neo had toured with us, and Zen was like, "Let's go back and tell him he's wrong." Like Zen was like, just went all chivalry and was like ready to like fight for my honor because he's a fellow vegan. And then we tried to go back and find him, and he was gone. And he's like, Zen's like, I would have torn him a new one. I'm like, I know, but it's okay. You know, it was frustrating, and it was a very strange scenario, but it is what it is. And if anyone ever tries to do that to me again, I'm just gonna walk away and be like, I'm not gonna have this conversation if you're gonna tell me I'm stupid and be rude to me. I refuse to let people to be rude to me anymore. It's not right. There's no point.
Yeah, it's like YouTube comments as well. You know, you get some you got some people who just like won't stop, won't let things go, and then I'll just like read this stuff and I'll be laughing at it. Like this actually reminds me of my friend Mike. He recently posted something on his Facebook and his Twitter. It was so funny. This dude commented below a video he did of his top 10 favorite artists of all time that he put out recently. And this dude was trying so hard to sound like, you know, like a real intellectual, uses like huge big words to try and insult him and whatnot. Like all this stuff he was like looking up every synonym and whatnot in the dictionary. Yeah. And it was so funny, like Mike he just replies to him. He says like, did you even read your own comments? And he says, your ass, I think he said something, your ass is not big enough for the fucking that you deserve. And then someone else replied underneath him and says, I think you're mistaken, Mike. It clearly is big enough because how does he fit his head in it? And you know, it's
just that's brutal.
Savage burns and stuff.
Goodness.
But gosh, no, you get some characters in YouTube comments and stuff. But I mean, like
online, but you know, I remember that. Like, especially on YouTube, a lot of the subscribers are like 13 years old and they don't know about the world yet. They don't know about the consequences of their actions fully.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had some people like try to challenge me on social media, and I'm just like, you know what? The problem lies with you and your problems and your ignorance, and I just have to move on with my life and focus on the positive. I have a healthy relationship with like 90% of our fans. So I just try to, you know, move on and avoid it altogether.
Starting your own PewDiePie army, but instead of 9-year-olds, it's 13-year-olds. You got to beat T-Series.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Oh gosh. One of the last thing I guess I'd supposed to ask is if you ever had the time or resources to in the future or something like that, if you had to do a concept album based on any of your favorite anime, which one would it be, and what would be some of your ideas?
Oh, clearly it would be Ergo Proxy. No doubt.
Yes.
It would definitely be more electronic, like kind of industrial rock. But it would also have moments of trip hop, and it would be symphonic for sure. And I could write a lot. I mean, maybe one day I will. Who knows? If I ever make my millions and get the rights to that series and open up a second season, sky's the limit.
Sounds great. Oh yeah, I forgot to. Sorry, one last one. This is the real last one. You say Disney is a huge impact on your stuff. Now I want to know, what is your favorite Disney movie and your favorite Disney song?
It's obviously The Lion King to this day. Favorite Disney song? Oh, that's so tough. God, I can't even like pick one. It's definitely a tie between the song from Mulan, which is Reflection, but also the song from the Hunchback and Notre Dame that Bette Midler sang, the Outcast song. It's really dark. Hunchback of Notre Dame is a very dark Disney movie, and I feel like it doesn't get enough love. Yeah, those two definitely like hit home for me.
Yeah. No, my favorite Disney film has to be Hunchback of
No way.
Notre Dame, because I watched that. Yeah, yes, way. I watched that as a kid. And like I said, I was raised Roman Catholic, so definitely a lot of traditional, stuff
Yeah.
in there. But the thing that really blew me away about the movie was the music, because I've listened to most Disney songs, and like, yes, they're all catchy and they have their different vibes, but I feel Alan Menken's work on that, it was just so grandiose and so
Yes.
powerful. And every time I think of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, the first song that immediately pops into my head is Hellfire, and that heavy ass bass
Yes.
drop, as like when with the orchestra does as it ends, and just the way the animation's done. Like, I mean, that was animation that Disney, like, was actually quite risky for Disney's style, because they'd never done stuff like the way they animated how Esmeralda was doing all like the seductive
Yes.
dancing and stuff. Like, you'd never seen that in Disney films before, and you see this in Hunchback and Notre Dame, and then probably people back in the day were like saying, "What?"
Yeah,
But
it's true.
I was just like blown away by that song when I was little, and I was just like, it's never left my mind. And then the best part was when Jonathan Young came out and did a metal cover of it,
Yeah.
and he's got this like very deep, like baritone kind of voice. That's if he had to cover any of Sabaton's songs, it would be great as well. But like, it just, wow, he nailed it out of the park. And then it made me sit there thinking to myself, now, when are Powerwolf or Camelot's going to do a cover of it? I wonder.
Yeah, no, totally.
So,
Amazing.
yeah, no. Yeah, no, but Hunchback, I agree with you there, deserves more love, but unfortunately, Frozen's stealing all the bloody show. So, yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. But, yeah, no. But I guess, that's about wraps
Awesome.
things up. I do hope you had fun
I
here,
did,
Lindsay.
thank you.
And, thank you so much again, for joining us. It was a huge honor to have you here. Just thank you
Cheers,
so much.
absolutely.
It means the
Thank
world.
you.
Lots.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Okay, alright. So, before we wrap up, guys, I'd just like to remind you, once again, please check out the description box down below. All of Lindsay's details are there. Be sure to check out her music. Be sure to follow her on social media. And if you're a weeb, you can stalk her about her favorite shows. No, just kidding. Don't stalk her, but yeah. Hopefully this was very informative, guys. And until the next episode, and screw the phone, take care of yourselves. And as always, have a kick-ass day. Cheers.